Free movies are easy to find. Great ones, not so much. I went digging through Tubi's catalog and pulled 10 underrated classics, films with bite, heart, and staying power. All free in the US with region-by-region availability listed in the pinned comment so nobody's left out.
You do what you have to do, and I'll do what I have to do. Whatever happens, happens.
Some monsters are not flesh and blood. The monster in Runaway Train is 1,000 tons of steel, screaming through the Arctic, with no one at the controls. You are trapped inside with 2 escaped convicts, who just traded one prison for a much faster, colder one. Jon Voight plays Manny, a man so feral he feels more like a primal force. A wolf who broke out of his cage only to be swallowed by an even bigger one. Eric Roberts is with him, a raw nerve of pure human panic, desperate to survive. But Manny, he seems to understand the machine they're on. He almost respects its mindless, destructive rage. The film is a brutal physical experience, a symphony of screeching metal and biting cold, pushing endurance to its absolute limit. That train is not just a machine. It is a force of nature, just like Manny himself, unstoppable, and headed for absolute destruction.
Give this clown enough to cover any damage. You'll get it back in a couple hours. Come on.
So the studio that made this film basically tried to murder it. United Artists was in freefall after the Heaven's Gate disaster. New bosses, new fear. They took one look at this dark, angry, post-Vietnam burnout and tossed it. No ads, no push, just silence. Which is wild, because what they had was a paranoid masterpiece. Not a whodunit, a slow-motion implosion between 2 broken men. Jeff Bridges plays the pretty boy drifter, charming, checked out. And then there's John Hurd as Cutter, a furious, limping, one-eyed hurricane. He didn't come back from war, he brought it with him. They stumble into a possible murder. Bridges shrugs. Cutter smells a mission. Not about justice, about giving the pain a direction. California looks golden, but the movie feels like a hangover. Every frame hums with dread. Obsession takes the wheel and never lets go. Critics had to rescue it from the trash. Thank God, because John Hurd? One of the great lost performances. They do not make them like this anymore.
75 minutes!
What exactly are you talking about?
I'm talking about nuclear fucking war.
Who is this?
This feels like the greatest Twilight Zone episode never made. For a decade. Its screenplay was a Hollywood legend, one of the best unproduced scripts in town. It starts as the sweetest, most charming romance imaginable, and then the apocalypse blows it off the tracks. Harry, Anthony Edwards, accidentally intercepts a payphone call. A frantic voice warns the nukes are flying. 70 minutes until they hit Los Angeles. From there, it's a desperate, real-time sprint through a city coming apart. One mission, find the woman he just met, and reach a rumored last-chance helicopter escape. You feel the clock ticking. You're trapped in the escalating panic, every street turning more dangerous than the last. It is pure sustained dread, never letting you breathe. The ending is famously bleak, and it earns that reputation by asking a terrifying question: what would you really do? A stone-cold 80s classic. Some movies, you can feel the heat coming off the screen, that LA sun that bleaches all the morality out of a man. That's the world William Friedkin throws you into with To Live and Die in LA. You're supposed to be following a hero, a Secret Service agent. But Richard Chance? He's a different kind of animal, running on pure ego and impulse. A predator with a badge. And his hunt for Willem Dafoe's ice-cold counterfeiter feels less like Law and Order and more like a turf war. It all boils over in one of the best car chase scenes ever filmed, a sequence so insane, so nihilistic, it stops being about catching a criminal and becomes a suicide run against traffic itself. 5 minutes of pure philosophy, set to that relentless Wong Chung beat, and then the gut punch. The job will eat you alive, and then it will replace you. A masterpiece of 80s nihilism.
Talking to me or somebody else walking this room?
If you want to understand Michael Mann's DNA, you start here. Thief is not just a film, it is his mission statement, the blueprint for everything that followed. It is all there in James Caan's Frank, the absolute professional,
I am self-employed.
a man defined entirely by his competence. You watch him work, and it is not movie magic. Man obsessed with authenticity brought in real high-level thieves as advisors. The tools, the process of cracking a safe, completely real. That focus is the only thing in his chaotic world that makes perfect sense. The Tangerine Dream score, that is the film's pulse. Not the sound of an empty room, the sound of a man who is alone even when he is holding someone's hand, the sound of his cage. And in that diner scene, he tries to break free,
I have run out of time.
begging Jesse, Tuesday Weld, for a family, a normal life, the one score he can never get. More than a heist film, it created a language. Every cool, melancholic crime movie since owes it a debt. Absolutely essential.
We've been designated Bravo. That is Bravo Team. Recon and security.
Your map is useless here. So is your compass. So is that rifle you're holding. This is not your territory. You are just trespassing. Walter Hill's Southern Comfort isn't really a war movie. It's a territorial dispute on an elemental level. A squad of men realizing, far too late, they've crossed into a place ruled by one brutal truth. You do not belong. Every sound you make, every branch you snap is an alarm bell. You are a foreign body. And the swamp, the land itself, is the immune system. The locals? Just the antibodies. They are the place, you are not. They try to fight, they try to impose rules. But how do you shoot the water? How do you chase shadows through trees? You can't, you just sink. One of the most potent survival films ever made, because it's not man versus man. It's man versus place. And the place always wins.
I gotta go now.
What do you expect me to do? Just drop everything?
Every town loves a hero's welcome. They give you a plaque, a new car, a case full of silver dollars. They need to believe the man who left is the same one who came back. Rolling Thunder is about the terrifying truth behind that lie. Major Charles Rain moves like he's sleepwalking. William Devane plays him like a man replaced by a perfect hollow copy. An alien, trying to remember the customs of a planet he no longer belongs to. The town gives him gifts he can't feel, and a life he can't live. Then, obscene violence. They take the silver dollars, they destroy his family, they put his hand in a garbage disposal, and right there you see a flicker of life. Not grief, not rage, recognition. A problem he understands. A mission. And a mission needs a tool, so he sharpens the point on his new steel hook. A masterpiece of despair. For some soldiers, peace is just a quiet purgatory. Home is the war they bring back. Absolutely brutal. One of the bleakest, most honest revenge films ever made. The hook is unforgettable, a cult classic that earns every scar.
Lady, after a while, a fella learns things. Some women are trouble.
There's a certain kind of crime story that just gets it right. No romance, no honor among thieves, just the job. That's the world of the Parker novels. And The Outfit is one of the best screen adaptations you will ever see. Robert Duvall is Macklin. He gets out of prison, finds out the syndicate killed his brother, and decides to get even. But this is not about grief. It is about a debt. The mob hit his family, so he hits their business. Again, and again, and again. You watch him and his partner, Joe Don Baker, perfectly cast, methodically dismantle mob operations with cold, blue-collar efficiency. It is less revenge fantasy and more hostile takeover. Lean, mean, completely devoid of Hollywood nonsense. Grounded, dangerous, shockingly direct. A shot of pure, uncut 70s pulp. I could watch it 100 times.
Or lawyers wearing $400 suits who come up to cops in hallways and say, hey, pal, this case doesn't mean shit. Here's $50. Here's $100. $500. $15,000. $15,000!
Forget good guys and bad guys. What happens when doing the right thing is the single worst decision you could make? That is the question Sidney Lumet forces you to face in Prince of the City. This is not Serpico. This is its darker, more complicated cousin. You are dropped into the life of Danny Cielo, Treat Williams with raw, frantic energy, a decorated NYPD detective who agrees to help an internal investigation. But with one condition: he will not give up his partners. That is the deal with the devil. For nearly 3 hours, you watch his world unravel. Lumet builds the pressure, the paranoia, the slow grind of a soul being crushed between two impossible choices. It is sprawling, messy, deeply human. No easy hero to root for, just the truth, uncompromising and cold. Treat Williams delivers career-best work in a film that pulls no punches. One of the best police dramas ever put on screen. Essential 80s cinema with a conscience.
Well, you've been down the long, hard road. Who hasn't?
You are looking at a perfect directorial debut. Some filmmakers spend their whole careers trying to make something this solid. Walter Hill did it on his first try, with Hard Times. This is not the cartoonish Charles Bronson you might be thinking of. This is something else entirely. He plays Cheney, a Depression-era drifter, more myth than man, a quiet force of nature, in a world that is loud and desperate. When he teams up with James Coburn's high-rolling, fast-talking promoter, the chemistry is electric. Every scene is stripped to the bone. No fat, no filler. The fights? Brutal and short, but the real story is in the silence between them. It is about professionalism, about a man with a code when nobody else has one. More character in a single nod from Bronson than most films have in 2 hours of dialogue. A masterclass in less is more filmmaking. An absolute knockout. There's your treasure map. 10 unforgettable films hiding in plain sight on Tubi. Go dig them up and tell me which one you are watching first. Hit subscribe to Vintage Verse to keep the gems rolling. See you next time.